Good day, everyone. It's wonderful to see everyone who has chosen to attend this session. We're delighted to be a part of the 2022 NBOA annual meeting. I would like to introduce myself and introduce my co-presenter. My co-presenter is Jim Bonfiglio. Jim Bonfiglio is Director of Operations for Cassidy School in Oklahoma City, an NBOA member, an ISAS accredited school, and a client of mine, my company, our company, Building Solutions, since the late 90s. Jim and I have gotten to know each other, and we've gotten to know the school quite well over that period of time. And we're here to share a development that we have witnessed at Cassidy that mirrors what we have seen in many schools who are peers of Cassidy, and explore a little bit what meaning this may have to schools, particularly in their operations and facilities operations, which are the area of expertise, the core expertise of Building Solutions, and the part of independent schools that we do the most thinking about. I'm Bill Kessler. I'm CEO and president of Building Solutions. We're a 31-year-old company that serves independent schools across the country relative to a whole host of matters concerning facilities in independent schools, new construction projects, repositioning of facilities and property, facility assessment, capital forecasting, and basically strategic deployment of facilities in fulfillment of the mission of independent schools that own them. Jim Bonfiglio joined Cassidy 41 years ago. Jim has done just about everything at Cassidy that I think anyone could do in an independent school, and you can just imagine the change that he has seen, but also the appreciation that he has for the culture and the nuances of a Cassidy student, of a Cassidy faculty member or staff member. However, he has been the director of operations only 8 of those years. Prior to that, the current head of school, and this is a sort of an unusual development in most of our experiences, the head of the school formerly was the CFO. Nathan Sheldon was our client and the person we directly reported to, Building Solutions, for Cassidy for quite a number of years. And Nathan became the head of school, and it was at about that time that instead of doing a like-for-like replacement of a Nathan Sheldon into the CFO role, who was responsible at that time for facilities operations as well as finance and accounting, instead of doing that, they've done what a number of schools, in fact, we witness it as a trend in independent schools, toward having a person dedicated to operations like Jim. So the purpose of our discussion today is to learn a little bit about why this happened at Cassidy, what Jim would suggest his work has been smoothest about it. He may even give us some insight about things that weren't so smooth. But we're going to get the straight scoop in this interview, and I hope everyone will come away better informed, whether you are currently operating with a separate COO, CFO, or if you're contemplating it. So Jim, there's no place to start like the beginning. Although the beginning for you is 41 years ago, let's start with the decision that Cassidy made to change its org chart when Nathan moved from CFO to head of school. What motivated Cassidy to change its organizational structure?
Well, thanks, Bill. Thanks for inviting me. Glad to be here. Nathan came from that CFO position, so he kind of knew firsthand, and he recognized the complexity from all those areas on the one position, and he just felt like it was just not sustainable for the long term. He looked at replacements, and he would, from the CFO side, very heavy on the finance and budgeting, and on the operations side, maybe a little in accounting and finance. So he felt like that with a substantial physical plant and programs at our school, 80 acres, 26 buildings, about 200 full-time employees, 1,000 students. He just felt like the school would be better served with if he would just have a CFO and a COO model. Just felt like that was the way to go to meet the needs of the community, and try to really hit the best practice level in both areas. And I think when we look back the last 7 or 8 years, that we feel like that we've just made great strides in both areas.
Well, what are some of the moments or the experiences that you had that really demonstrated to you that it was a wise decision and that it was a good change?
Well, when we created the operations umbrella, there's a synergy that's kind of created with all the departments and the operational components of the school, and so when we have significant events, it's just an easy transition because we're already in collaborative mode, and if you look at what we're up against and kind of mired in right now in this COVID environment. I mean, when you look at all the different areas that have to contribute to lay the foundation so we can keep our schools open and have our students thrive, between the buildings and grounds and the IT and the security and safety and health services and custodial, transportation. I mean, dealing with the HVAC systems and greasing the backbone of the campus so we can become a wireless campus, monitoring the visitors, what we had to do in the dining with grab-and-go lunches. A lot of plexiglass all over the place, a lot of signage, cleaning schedules, testing, vaccination. So it was really an easy transition because we're used to working with each other. We kind of know what one hand is doing and the other hand. So it was like we were faced with some challenges and we just kind of went to work.
As you know, but for the benefit of the others who are listening to this, Cassidy is in an exclusive group of schools who we work with called those who are in the High Performance Campus program. You were one of the inaugural members of that group of schools. And as you know, and really any of our clients know, we're one of the things that we feel is very important is that the facilities function, and I'm speaking of facilities in a maybe in a narrower way than encompasses your entire job, but specifically facilities maintenance and operations and utilities and cleaning and those types of things. One thing that we think is really important is that facilities have a voice at the table, have a stronger voice than it has traditionally had in schools, indeed in many among many other property owners. Can you point to some ways that this organizational structure has given facilities more voice?
Well, as you know, schools are a vibrant environment, and I will say that operations, we're kind of the big dog on campus. I mean, obviously with the physical plant and what that does for the programs, and then all the events and managing the events on campus. I think the operations of the school is very, very appreciated. I think people appreciate efficiency. I think people appreciate our performance, and that striving to be the best that we can, and the way we do things, is really involves so many components of the school, and so our school has kind of come to learn that they're kind of intertwined, and so certainly they bring us to the table, and they know we do have a strong voice, because we're involved in really just about everything on this campus.
I could add to that with our experience that with Cassidy, that there is sometimes in schools where facilities does not have enough of a voice, or a voice that's being listened to. It's sometimes because those who are left giving facilities voice aren't accustomed to presenting, aren't accustomed to formally proposing or putting those issues that are really important to facilities out in front of the school strategically. And I would say Cassidy is a great example of a school that has mastered that moderating of the two sets of skills, the skills that you obviously have that are executive in nature, that come out of a practice of dealing with things at a strategic level, of communicating with just about every constituent in the school. But you're partnered with individuals who have, they spend their days maybe literally with a tool belt on, but maybe loosely would be in our trade and among schools it would be referred to as people with tool belt skills. Often somehow marrying those two sets of skills has been a challenge for many schools. But I would add to what you've experienced, that from our perspective, Cassidy does a fantastic job of being able to receive information that is strategic in nature and respond to it, but still the boots on the ground know how to translate that into action. So I want to commend you for that. What kinds of...
I'm sorry, Bill. Well, I was just going to say is that, and you're right. And so I think by the members of the department having access to me and the communications that we can have, they start building those skills and they start looking at things strategically, because that's something that we're really focused on, is being strategic, being sustainable. And so those are skills that I think are kind of reverberating through all of our many departments on the operations.
That's a great point. In a sense, you're mentoring folks who may not have been asked to do that before, and setting a standard for how things are thought about and how requests are interpreted and how that gets translated in facilities day to day. Maybe we could turn now to what some of the challenges have been. And mind you, some of the people who are attending this may be thinking about transitioning to a new organizational structure and would like to know ahead of time what sorts of things they could run into.
Well, it was really change, at least in my my experience. When I first started, I found people that were very, very comfortable in their old way of doing things, and we're doing fine, thank you very much kind of mentality. They were kind of siloed, and so I was up against that. So I kind of had to tread slowly and become a part of their team, kind of gain their trust. And this whole thing wasn't a light switch event. We just didn't turn it on, and boy, everything just kind of fell in line. I mean, there was a process being involved so you can communicate the vision and the process of where you'd like to go, and we just had to bring on the leaders of each team, and then when I kind of gained their trust, we started forming the identity of kind of an operations unit. So look, I'm kind of a big efficiency guy, and so when I wanted to go electronic ticketing system and communication throughout, I mean, there was some pushback. That was different. I mean, we were paper pencil. We were, hey, phone calls and, that kind of stuff. So, there was that fear of Big Brother. So, when anytime people kind of go into or confronted with a new environment, you just kind of have to win their trust. And so unexpected challenges, nothing moves as fast as maybe one would like, but you just kind of keep your eye on where you want to go and just kind of let things evolve organically.
I think for people to have full appreciation for what you're saying, as I recall, looking at your organizational chart, there are about 8 or 10 different functions that fall under you. Is that correct?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And I mean, that's that's way beyond the old traditional span of control. But it sounds like you're running this more as a collaborative group that while they report to you, you have a spirit of collaboration that probably only makes that possible.
Oh yeah. But I ask a lot of questions. I'm also a part of their team, and we're all under that. We all have the same goal of just providing the foundation to do some great things on campus. So got everybody on board with that.
So Jim, again, viewing this from the perspective of a school that may not have taken the step yet, what kinds of circumstances or events at Cassidy might have caused you to reconsider this or to approach it a little bit differently, or maybe have a hybrid of your organization? Can you offer maybe danger signals or red flags that would give you caution if you were at a different school and they were considering this?
Well, you do have to be patient. I mean, I can't think of a reason why we would want to go back to the previous model. I mean, my office is right next door to the CFO, so we're talking and collaborating and knowing what's going on all the time. But just understand that when you go into a new organizational structure, it's not easy, and it's going to take time, and you just have to you just try to get a little bit better each day and try to move forward, and then before you know it, you feel like you're in a good place. But again, I think I'm one of those people that I'm really maybe never satisfied, because I think because things are changing, and I'm always looking for ways to improve, and that's how I try to instill that kind of mentality in the people that I work with. So no, we're pleased where we are right now, but we also understand we can do better, and so we're looking for ways to do that.
If you were a head of school and you were hiring a COO, or you were on a search committee or in a role like that, and you didn't have anybody in your school who had been there for 41 years and had touched just about everything and had been as successful as you have been leading up to that being selected, what would be what would be in that position description? What would be some of the essential qualifications of a COO if one was, whether one was already in the school or not? Could you comment on that?
Yeah, so I know from my perspective, I've always been very, very process driven, and I always like to put systems in place, and I think that kind of because it is quite a substantial, at least in my area, with all the different components and how they connect together. I mean, we do really have to put in systems in place, and really so we can be more efficient. I mean, I think I would look for someone who is willing to look through things through a new lens, and not just kind of rely on the way things have always been done. Someone who's always looking to improve. Look at the current practices and see where you can improve on. I mean, I know, like when we looked at our maintenance and ground schedules, I mean, what we came up with, we started splitting our shifts, and we would have some of our technicians start at noon and go till 8. And so what that did was we had half of our shift on half of their time on the job we had empty buildings, so they could do things, they can do some work. And so we found that their efficiencies were improved, and they and they enjoyed that. We're in the second, okay, when from 4 to 8, there's, I can get in classrooms, I can do things. And so we just kind of look at things, through a different lens, and we came up with a good solution. I also think you have to have someone who's kind of a big picture person that can kind of connect the dots and understand what schools are all about. I think taking a team approach, a collaborative approach, is the way to go. I mean, I think you want to build trust and consensus with all the members of different departments and have them kind of fly the same flag, so to speak. And so someone who can bring people together and look at things and understand that we can all complement each other and we can all work to for our ultimate goal, which is really just to provide excellent service to our community. I mean, we have our security team. They have to be in buildings anyway when they're making their rounds, so we're having them deliver packages and even performing some preventative maintenance on gates and something maybe, so that frees up some elements for the other departments. Our grounds are helping with traffic control and parking. Our maintenance department is the first level on maybe some IT issues when it comes to cameras, or so they can do things before it's elevated to the next level. So we try to develop that synergy. So it's a lot of things. I think project management skills are probably real valuable. Event management skills. We do an awful lot of events here on campus that are connected to the school, and then also with parent organizations. Also, and then someone who can work with people. I know I have to build relationships with our city manager and the city council, and they appreciate that I visit with them frequently to tell them what's going on at the school. So it's just much like that. The job and the components of it are varied, and I think someone who is collaborative in nature and varied with their skills is important.
So I'm hearing that there are a lot of important front-facing, if you will, roles with the public, with parents, donors, vis-a-vis events and just support activities. I'm hearing also that there is that management skills are needed. I mean, in a word, and that's that doesn't always go with senior administrative staff in schools. I mean, we all experience that. So having that management background, the willingness and ability to juggle a lot of things, that's not new to CFOs, heads of school, or anyone. That sort of goes along with it, but doing it with in a way that where you can manage both the outward facing and then the inward facing. And the other thing I've heard you say is that dealing collaboratively with an astounding number of different disciplines, that some of which didn't even exist. You have a health services, what do you call it, a health services manager now?
Yeah, we implemented a health services program, and of course, and also, even on the security and safety side, we've developed that department and program. Yeah.
I think we just have a couple of minutes left, but I want to ask you now a narrowly facilities oriented question. I recognize that, I mean, it's come through loud and clear that your position covers a lot more than buildings and grounds, but one of the things that goes hand in hand with the facilities having a voice is having an adequate level of involvement and communication about facilities needs when it comes to budgeting. Could you give us briefly a synopsis of how facilities budgeting might happen a little bit differently under your model than it did in the old days?
Well, I know that since I meet with our department leaders once a week, and so and then we all come together every 2 weeks. So I kind of understand and through their communication that what are some of the new initiatives and that we need to look at to improve, and then maybe, you know, and then also the things that we have to work on to sustain. And so so I have a lot of information. I've also have I'm kind of working with them to prioritize, and you know, and of course I've got you know, we've been very fortunate where we you know, we have, you know, PRISM funding, and I will say this is that we've always, you know, the physical plant has always been a high priority at the school just by virtue of our association with Building Solutions. I mean, so our board is you know, recognizes that the physical environment is important and supports the educational aspect so much. But you know, we have that funding and forecasting for all these new initiatives, but not just on the building and grounds. We also have on the IT, and we got vehicles and equipment and FF&E. So we're really you know, I get to understand the breadth and of all the different components that contribute to the school, and then also being able to communicate that to you know, head of school, CFO, and the board. And so so I think we've been a little bit more consistent and able to kind of have a big picture view of things, and instead of pockets of initiatives, and just kind of understand that, okay, in one area when we have to address something, but we also have some other big areas, and you know, to address. And so I'm able to kind of put all those things in perspective.
And officing next door to the CFO is probably as symbolic as you can get in communicating that bond and the close working relationship that you must have with the financial part of the school to be successful. Well, Jim, I think we've run out of time. If you have any closing comments, I'll open it up to you.
Well, you know, I think there was just a lot of wisdom for the school to go. When I look at the programs that have been enhanced because I've been able to dig a little bit deeper, you know, into things. I just think that it was really a good move by the school. If other schools are able to follow that model, then I think they would be happy with that result too.
Well, from our perspective, I would second that motion. It's from what we've seen, it's been a very successful move. Well, I'd like to close, and I'm sure, Jim, you join me in thanking NBOA for the opportunity to share with our professional colleagues. It's a delight to be on the stage. I guess you call this a stage, be on the stage with you. Always proud to be with you, and I believe we're going to have at the close an image that would have our email addresses. So if people wanted to contact you, they would have the ability to do so, or to contact me. But thank you so much for dedicating time to this, and thank you to NBOA for giving us the opportunity.
Thank you, Bill.